We have had so many new releases from new series, ongoing series, and I just had to talk about a few that I feel are so underrated and deserve some time and attention and some love. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. Very excited for everything that is to come this month because we're sort of doing like a mid-year check-in of sorts, going over some releases from this year. We're gonna do a full video recap on that here in just a few weeks. And then also just sort of like, how is this manga not licensed in English just yet? You know, all of the things. But today, as I said before, we're gonna be talking about some series I really feel are underrated. I'm mainly focusing on volumes. I really ultimately wanted to do debut manga, but I realized there's not a lot of newer manga that I actively have picked up. We're definitely getting new debuts, I should say, new series and whatnot. But I'm like, wow, I feel either if I've picked up a series, I feel like everybody has mainly been picking this up, or a lot of people, and I don't feel this is underrated. So I'm gonna try and feature just titles, volumes, and I'm like, okay, why is this volume so underrated compared to the first one? Did it fall off for people? And I feel like they should come back and keep going, starting with number 1. Y'all, where are the fans of this series? I know there has to be fans of this series. I'm like, well, at least surely, hopefully, and that is Fiancée Chosen by the Ring, Volume 7. It was a really long wait between Volume 6 and Volume 7, over a year, I believe, but I love this series so much, and I saw it when I was going through the Shoujo release calendars that I have done, and I saw it and I'm like, yes, because I don't think I really know anybody except for maybe one person who has read this volume. But if you're not familiar with this series, it is about our female lead. Her name is Aurora, and she loves embroidery. Like, she will go to like these balls, to these events where there's gonna be dancing, just so she can admire all of the dresses worn by the ladies, seeing how the embroidery was on those dresses. Well, one particular event that she is at, she is, you know, admiring all of the dresses and everything, and suddenly she gets hit smack in the forehead with this ring, and she's like, what? And not only that, this young man, our male lead, he comes up and he was like, the ring has chosen my fiance, and she is supposedly the lucky woman, and she's just trying to wrap her head around getting smacked in the head, or getting hit in the head, excuse me, with a ring, and then a young man saying, hey, that you're now my fiance. She has no idea what's going on. Come to find out, he had some reasonings for why he did that, and he's like, hey, please, I was in the wrong. He had drank a little bit the night before, but he's like, you would really help me if you could just act like my fiance so these women would stop coming after me. And she's like, well, that actually would work in my favor as well. I'm trying to remember what her reasons were. I think it might have been still with that embroidery and going to these different events. But they decide to make it work, and to their dismay, and much to my happiness, they end up falling in love. This is one of the most fluffiest fantasy romance series I feel I've ever read that we have ongoing in English right now. It is so wonderful. Like, yes, it has a little bit of action in the later volumes, but honestly, this is a series. If you're just looking for some fluff, there is not a bunch of heavy plot. There's, I said, just a little bit of action. I feel like that picks up as the series goes on, but still at the heart of it, at the root of this series, you were seeing these two people falling in love, and I absolutely love it for that reason. I giggle so much, I squeal, I have a great time. I love the art. I do feel like the embroidery, it's still like a theme throughout the manga, but I feel in those early volumes, you're really just seeing how these two people have been brought together and how they're pursuing this new love and how they act, and it is wonderful in every single way. I have nothing bad to say about this series, and I truly just wish it was not so underrated as a whole, not just this volume, but it feels like this last volume specifically was just really, really under the radar, and I truly just don't know who is collecting it anymore. I think, like I said, I know one person I have seen have the volumes, but outside of that, I truly don't know, and I'm like, please, come back for the fluff, come back for the fluff. It's definitely like one of those fantasy romance series I feel like is like number 1 at the top of my recommendation list. Like, I just gave a recommendation actually this past weekend to somebody. I'm like, hey, if you need some fluff, take it. Take it. I can't recommend it enough. I truly do need to do a video review on this series with how much I love it and how much I just truly wish other people knew about it, because it's so good and so great, and I love it so much. For number 2, I have talked about this series, I feel like a little bit quite a bit, probably honestly, on this channel because I featured it during my dessert themed event in, was that last month? Whenever I did that, goodness, I feel like time is flying. But during, yeah, it was last month. During that, all of that dessert manga, this manga actually served as the inspiration to feature other dessert titles and learn more about the magazine, and that is I'll Never Fall in Love with Amano. I said the third volume because there's 2 other people, I believe, that I know that have read this manga, and they were the only 2 people who were like, yes, the ending was so good. I'm like, yes, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I still am surprised this is underrated even as a whole. I'm not sure if it's because of the publisher, it is Tokyo Pop, but it is a dessert manga, and I'm like, well, dessert manga are usually pretty popular, but not this one. So in case if you didn't see that video review that I did and you're not familiar with this series, it is about our main female lead. I believe her name is Takahide, and she is very competitive. She always wants to be #1, and before our male lead Amano was on the scene, she was. And after he arrives, she keeps getting in 2nd place, and she is not happy, not content with this at all. So much so that she's like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch him secretly at school to see, can I find his weakness? And for like the whole day, and I think maybe the day after, she keeps watching him, and she's like, he's good at everything he does. And she's like, how am I gonna get 1st place? Well, the next day, Amano's like, hey, I saw you watching me. Do you like me? And she's like, oh no, what do I do? She's like, that's obviously not the reason. I'm just trying to find your weakness, but she doesn't want to tell him that. So, how the conversation goes, doesn't tell him that she has a crush on him, but he feels that she's implying that. That was not what she was implying, but that's what he takes away with. And so she sort of has this light bulb moment. Well, if he knows nothing about love, I will just say that I do and beat him when it comes to love. Mind you, she has no experience with love either, but she is determined to beat him in this, and you probably know where that's going to be going, where they end up actively falling in love. And I really do enjoy that Takahide is telling him how to win her heart over, how to win a girl's heart, and everything he's doing is successfully winning her heart, despite that she was like, no. And there is some misunderstanding in there because Amano, bless his heart, is a sweet, precious being who is so naive, because in volume 1, she's asking him, what do you think love is? What do you think romance is? And he's like, well, if we use Shoujo Manga, I think it's this. The couple that he shows is French kissing, and she is horrified because she's like, absolutely not, and more or less runs off. I really, really enjoyed this series. I was rereading volume 3 and I had such a blast. It's one of those series that's done, I feel, very well, where, sometimes with these short series that are only 3 volumes, volume 1, super good, starts off strong, you're like, yes, I love this. You get to volume 2, like, okay, this is still great, still really enjoying it. You get to volume 3, and you're like, this is not the ending that I was hoping for this series that you absolutely adored. I felt like this series was strong from start to finish. I laughed the entire time. I was amazed how the creator was really able to wrap up this series in a very satisfying way, because I was terrified. I said in that video review, I'm pretty sure for almost all of this volume, I was holding my breath thinking, oh no, it's gonna get rushed, it's gonna feel axed, and no, it never felt that way. And I truly think if more people knew for this final volume, hey, it's not rushed, it feels great, it has a natural rhythm, I guess you would say. That's not the word I'm looking for, but a natural rhythm to the story, so we're not feeling like, okay, we're here and then boom, suddenly we're at the end, like how did we even get here? We feel like a whole bunch of time and just everything is, what is happening, more or less. No, it truly was not like that. And I just wish people, I don't know if that would help influence people to know, like, that's how it ends, because, sometimes with these series, we can get volume 1, we're like, okay, I like it, but I'm not really sure if I want to continue it, because you don't know how it ends. Just know it starts well and ends well. You have nothing but great things to say about this series. I'm pretty sure I gave every volume 5 stars. I laughed so much. I had such a great time. I was very excited to see a friend recently try volume 1 and say that she enjoyed it. Like, yes, yes, because it's a series I would just recommend if you need a great short romantic comedy that you just want to have a great time, not think about the worries of life, and enjoy these characters and the shenanigans that they bring, because they bring so many. For number 3, I worry that the reason I sort of feel like this almost like fell off is because of the very long wait as well between volumes. I realized volume 1 released last year in July, and I think this one released maybe January, February, and that's a really long wait. I totally get that. And it is volume 2 of Double the Trouble, Twice as Nice. I love this series. My friend Gira and Fire, both of them at different points had shared about how they enjoyed this series, and I was blown away when we got the manga license physically because it's available. Is it Comic-Key? I think this is on. It was one of those series. I don't even think I had read the first chapter, or no, I think I did read the first chapter, but I knew because both of these ladies had recommended it, had nothing but great things to say. I'm like, yep, I will be there. And yes, I loved it so much. I don't remember if I have a first impression on volume 1 or not, but I felt like I was seeing volume 1 in the wild, and what I mean is in people's halls, and then volume 2, I'm like, is anybody still here? Are we still reading this together? You know, like what's happening if you're not familiar with this story? It is about our main female lead, Yuri. I can't remember how old she is. I'm not going to say she's old or older, but she's older than the male lead. They have an age gap. I think in this manga she said it was 10 years. So she's in her 30s and he's like, I think he's like 19 or 20. So she's not old, but she's just older than him. But she works full time and she is just running on fumes. She's been with this guy that she was very serious about. They've been together for several years. She's like, yes, you know, maybe we can start thinking about getting married. And when they go on their date to meet up, he actually breaks up with her. And she is devastated because if she wasn't pouring all of herself into work, she was pouring her time in him because she really loved him and cared for him. Well, she's going back home from this date. She ends up seeing a young child sort of basically passed out on the sidewalk and her phone's dead. There's nobody around. She's like, well, I guess I'm gonna take this child to my house because I can't just leave him here on the street. And, you know, then I'll take them to the police officer in the morning so that he could find his parents. And when she wakes up that morning, Ren here looks like a young man, like he's 18 or 19. And she's like, that's not who came home with me last night. And come to find out, there are some things happening, especially involving this like almost magical choker where he can be really young. He's actually a young man, like he is an adult, but he somehow transforms into a child without this necklace on. Through these things of them living together, because they sort of make an arrangement, he needs a place to stay, he could help cook for her, help provide meals and clean the house, while, you know, she sort of gets back on her feet again and provides him a place to stay, you know, in exchange. She's really leery of this, but she does agree and they end up falling in love, much to, I'm pretty sure, both of their dismay. Especially I feel like with Ren when I was rereading this volume, and Yuri's just a fantastic heroine. She is doing her best. If you want I don't want to say a try-hard heroine, but you could just tell that she has been through so much and she's doing her best. I feel like she's very relatable in that. And just to sort of be at rock bottom, but have at first what becomes a friend and then somebody that she genuinely does have romantic feelings for, but she's wrestling with that due to the age gap. This is such a good manga to try. I really loved her attitude, her personality, how hard she's trying, and I loved Ren in exchange because he sees how hard she's working and he really wants to help ease her burdens and be there for her and support her. Now, I have mentioned in a previous reading wrap-up video that I was upset for some choices that Ren made. He was in the doghouse for a little bit, but then he said sorry, and we love to see that. And I was like, okay, we're good, because he realized that he messed up, and he asked for forgiveness, and he decided to change. And I'm like, yes, really, really enjoyed that. I am very much sipping these two. I know not everybody's a big fan of age gap, but I love the manga. I think it works, but I would just be aware of that going in if you tried this series. But I think it continues to get better and better, and I'm very excited for volume 3 to release this month. Like, it's been one that I'm like, I will pre-order this as soon as I see a new volume is up. I mean, maybe not as soon as, but I put it on my pre-order spreadsheet as soon as I see it's up because I think the characters are fun. I enjoy the art. I have a great time when I'm reading, and I'm very invested to see what exactly happened with Ren. Like, yes, we've seen a little bit of backstory of what happened, but what were some of these motivations? What sort of is leading? There's like different little nuggets of information we're given that there, you know, there's something bigger happening behind the scenes. And I'm like, how did we get here? So, and hoping, very much hoping that we will see the ship fully sail, that Yuri will embrace her feelings for Ren because Ren has embraced his for her. So I'm like, Yuri, you're all that's left, girl. You got this, bestie. We want to see you. I want to see you see the ship sail here. I'm cheering for you. So definitely recommending this one if you want. It's definitely a romance. I'm not really sure if I would say it's like a romantic comedy the same way Amano is, but I have laughed a few times, and I think it's just a really great, fun kind of romance. So hopefully people won't be put off by the really long wait between volumes. I do feel like the wait between volume 2 and 3 was definitely shorter than the wait between volume 1 and volume 2, and hopefully it will just continue to get shorter and people will be like, oh, okay, there's a lot of volumes out, let me come back and I want to keep reading. For number 4, I actually have a debut. I love this one. I have a first impression on this one. That's Apprentice Nail Artist in a Foreign Land. Maybe I'm cheating a little bit here. I do feel this is still underrated, but I feel like I have seen a few people who have picked it up, but they've all been like negative reviews. So I said, well, I want to feature it. I still feel it's underrated. So here we are. But it is about our main female lead. I can't remember her name right now. No, it starts with the S, but she has been more or less isekai'd into this fantasy world. I don't even remember how she got here, but she's been isekai'd. She's been here and she actually loves living in this place, and she is a more or less a nail tech, a nail artist. And the thing is though, is when she does these people's nails, depending on what materials she uses, it can strengthen the magical abilities of the people wearing the nail polish. But she's just more of a nail artist who likes to see fun and cute designs and doesn't always have the material actually strengthen or reinforce the magical abilities, because sometimes it will contradict one another and cause issues. Except for this guy here, her number 1 client. He is a wizard and he is very, very powerful in his magical abilities. And so much so that he doesn't really care that she just does cute nail art and doesn't really focus on the strengthening of his magical ability, which is how most nail artists would be in this world. So it's her story more or less of living in this world, her being a nail artist, the clients that she works with and does their nail art, and her becoming, because she's nicknamed a voyager is what they call when people get isekai into this world, and it's her life as a voyager. And I loved it. I thought it very enjoyable, though I did say in that first impression video, this is very word heavy, and I do agree when I have seen other reviews, mainly it was on Goodreads and not necessarily from people I know, it was just people I'd seen had left a review. It does focus more on the world building than the plot itself, and I felt that was very true. I felt more excited about the world she's in than our female lead, which was a very unique experience. And I know that can sort of be like a deal breaker, because typically, you know, you need to feel an emotional connection with the hero or the heroine before you really get sucked in or invested in the story. But I found with this one, I didn't mind. Now there might be some like biasness on my part, because I have mentioned that this was a story like even before I was really actively into manga. I remember coming across this one when I was doing nail art, so much so that I thought about becoming a nail tech, that I was overjoyed to get this in English physically. And not only that, but we have an anime that's coming as well, which sort of brings me to say I'm very surprised how popular this is in the French manga community, that maybe there'd be some influence on the English community and there would be like, hey, yes, this is a big win. Like, I mean, I remember seeing people interested in this, but overall, I still feel it's really under the radar. And again, I thought maybe knowing that, hey, it has an anime, that it would boost its popularity or more people trying it or picking it up. But overall, no. And I think too, if you are trying it, again, it could be a very much a deal breaker if you don't want that word text heaviness. This is probably the only manga I've read where I didn't mind how heavy it was and explain different details, and I loved all of those things. That's why I loved it so very much. And I feel like this is a very niche kind of manga. I wouldn't really expect it to be like super popular. Now, maybe if the anime genuinely does this series justice, yes. And I feel like there's gonna be a lot of expectation there, I at least know from me, because if you're not bringing that world building to life in an exciting way, just as it is in this manga, it is going to, I think, hurt the story more than anything else. And I truly hope that that doesn't happen. I want it to shine. I want it to flourish. I want to be able to see how this nail art shines. And I wish we had color pages just to see that, but also just see too, I think our female lead really getting to, over time, eventually know her. But I feel like that's going more into my hopes for the anime than the volume itself. But I just really, really enjoyed this. And I'm not really sure how to, I want to say promote this, but that's not the right word, of how to recommend it. I mean, I guess, like I said before, if you really like really in-depth world building reading and you don't mind that word text heaviness, I think, and not having a quick connection with the female lead, then I think this would be a good one to at least try and see what you think. There's dragons, we have goblins, we have elves who look super cool. I mean, we have so many, like a very diverse cast of characters that I've been excited for everyone that I have met. I think online it did say it's a romance, and I'd be curious if these two have a romance, but there's not really much in this first volume. As somebody who was so excited for this manga for so long, it has been really hard to either see the few people I know have picked it up not like it, or just not see anybody pick it up at all. I really, really wish that there was more love for this, and I hope that as the series goes on and that we get the anime, hopefully it will be a lot less underrated than it is right now. And then last but not least, for number 5, honestly, for this to have an anime and to have so much love that I've heard almost nothing but good things, I am genuinely shocked that this manga is not more popular. It did debut this year, and I just recently read volume 2. I talked about my reading wrap up, and that is Betrothed to My Sister's Ex. This is the manga. It does have a light novel. I have a friend that's actively reading the light novels, and she loves it. And again, I've seen a lot of love for the anime, but I'm like, I haven't really seen anybody picking up the manga, and I don't know how I feel about that. So again, especially since it has an anime, but if you're not familiar with this series, it is about our main female lead. Her name is Marie, and she unfortunately more or less is the ugly duckling of her family between her and her sister. Her sister is very beautiful, has a very lovely personality, and she generally does. Like, she's not hiding. It's not one of those stories where the sister acts one way in front of people and then treats her like trash behind the scenes. No, and she genuinely loves Marie, which really hurts when you find out that unfortunately that her sister passes away. Marie's sister does. That comes into play with My Sister's Ex because we meet the male lead. I think he's a count. I forget his name. I always forget his name. But he ends up actually meeting Marie, and he doesn't realize that she's the daughter of this family because when he meets her, I mean, she's more or less dressed in rags. She's treated as if she was a servant. And he's very amazed that when Marie is talking about his culture, that she's so excited and just brimming with just overall love for his culture, that so much so that he's like, I want to marry her, but there's a mix-up that Marie's family thinks it's Marie's sister he wants to marry, and Marie's sister's on the way to marry him, has a tragic accident, and her parents are like, you are gonna go fill in as the bride in your sister's place because that's all you're good for. And so begins this story where we actually have the male lead who is smitten with the female lead. I absolutely love that. If you are down for that trope of he fell first and he fell harder, then yes, you need to be reading this manga. Now, you might remember I did a first impression on volume 1 and I said that I liked it, but I was struggling because I wanted to see Marie's happiness. It was very, very hard seeing her degrade herself. All the nasty things that her parents had said to her, she had clung to those in her mind, where she really believed that she was doing a disfavor to the male lead, that he could find such a better wife, a better woman who was more beautiful, more better, more smarter, more everything than what she was. But he wants her, and he makes it known he wants her. And I did say in my recent reading wrap-up video that I felt the things I really was hoping to see after volume 1, I started getting in volume 2, and now I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering the upcoming volumes as the series goes on, because it's, I think from what I've heard, it will eventually be a sweet romance, but right now it is hard, and I'm not really sure if people, maybe like how I was, that felt a little bit impatient after volume 1 of like, okay, this is a good, solid story, has an interesting plot, interesting characters, but I don't know if I really want another Cinderella-like story. Maybe they want something else, and that's completely justifiable. I definitely feel I am more picky about Cinderella-like stories. I enjoy them, but some of them can be really hard and pressing, okay? And I'm like, I would like a little bit of fluff, and this doesn't really have that, but I do feel the hope starting to brim when it comes in to volume 2. Also will say, very much love biracial relationships. Yes, that's something very important to me. So seeing that part of my life, my marriage represented in fiction is something I usually always will 9 times out of 10 give that manga a try, especially if it's shoujo, because I'm like, yes, let me see more of that. And so I wish this wasn't, the manga wasn't so underrated, and maybe that's unfair in saying, hey, it's underrated, because I don't feel the anime is at all. I feel like a lot of people people really enjoyed it. Again, there was nothing but great things I heard about it, but just manga-wise, and since I'm mainly a manga reader and very bad about keeping up with anime, I was hopeful to see more people talking about this, and I could be like, hey, yeah, I'm reading that too, and I'm starting to change. If where I was unsure of Volume 1, I'm starting to get invested in Volume 2, I would love to find other friends and other people just to talk about the manga with, because of how much I'm starting to enjoy it. So hopefully, maybe it will become less underrated. I mean, if the anime is already out, I'm not really sure how much that plays a big role on picking up the manga. I mean, I would think at the end of the season that yes, a lot of people would start picking up if they're like, hey, I enjoyed it so much, I want to read the original content, though I guess technically you could go to the light novel. I do feel overall, I felt more people have picked up the light novel, but I feel like the manga just gets the least amount of love out of the 3 options that we have available for this very special story that's really growing on me, and very excited to see how Marie is growing and how she will grow in future volumes. But I would love to hear from you, friends. What are some series that you feel are underrated? I would love to know. I also have a graphic that I made of some underrated shoujosei debuts that I found. That's not all of them. They were just some, I used a randomizer and these are the ones that I chose. But even if you see a title not on here, but you're like, yes, this is totally underrated, it came out this year, I need more people to know, let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!